Hey, what's up guys, Bryce here, and today we're going to be doing a tutorial on how to make this Fortnite graphic or banner in Adobe Photoshop. I think it came out pretty cool. We have the text, so you can have your name there, YouTube channel, whatever you want. So this tutorial is going to be made in Adobe Photoshop, and this is for people who are not beginners but also not experts at the program. So we're going to hop into a Fortnite solo here, and to get the screenshot, whatever you guys want to look like, whether you're breaking a tree, you're shooting something, or you're just running around, you can use that for the graphic. So if you guys go on like a mountain or something and you have a gun, and if you shoot, and we can go into replay mode, that'll look pretty cool. But for this tutorial, I just did something more simple and tilted, obviously. So if you guys are new to my channel, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button down below, and follow my Instagram and my SoundCloud. Links will be in the description for that. If you do have over 5,000 subscribers, I do make free graphics. My website is down in the description. That will have my portfolio with all the graphics in it that I've done, so you can check that out. And if you guys don't have over 5,000 subscribers, my graphics are pretty cheap, only like $1 or $2, and you can get yourself a custom graphic. But anyways, you can see there we just shot, and that was what we used for the screenshot. So it's really simple. So I just have some gameplay left when I died, because here my aim was like a potato. So pump this guy in the head. He's kind of AFK. I don't know what he's doing, chilling in the corner, taking a piss. And then we went up here, and I missed a shot there because he started building. I tried to like build fight him, I got caught up in there, and then hit him right there. And then that's just when my aim was just like potato. I could have landed that, but anyway, besides the point, now you go into replay mode in Fortnite, and I'm doing this on PS4 because if you do have a USB stick, you can put it on your computer. So go into the settings, auto exposure on, focal length 85. I don't know what I had it on. See right here, 85. High quality effects have that on. Aperture 1.4 and autofocus is on. And if you have a PS4, you take your USB stick and you put it into the PS4, and then you go to your settings, and then you go to the storage, I believe, and you can put on the USB stick and then put it into your computer after you take the screenshot. Most people know how to do this, so I'm not going to really go over that in depth. But I really like the replay mode on this because you can get pretty nice angles and like see all the cool effects that this game has. But as you can see here in a minute, this is where we had our screenshot for the graphic. So it's not that hard to do. Most of you guys should know how to do this. So this is the screenshot that we got right here, and we will see you guys when we're in Photoshop. Alright guys, so once you guys are in Photoshop, you guys, the image size for a banner, because I'm going to be doing a banner, but you could just do a profile picture or whatever. The banner size, here's all the information for the banner size, or you could just go on Google and just search up YouTube banner template or whatever you're trying to do. But this is my personal template that I use when I make graphics. So you guys are going to go to File, Place Embedded, and bring in the image that we just got. So I think this looks pretty good. So just resize it to the correct size. And I'm doing this for people who know how to use Photoshop, so not really the basics. So if you see me doing something and you're not really sure what I'm doing, ask a comment down below, or just go on YouTube, and because most of this stuff isn't for a beginner, it's kind of for people who have been using Photoshop for a while. So yeah, so this banner template that I created, this in here is what is going to be shown. So I'm just going to try and I think for this purpose, I'm not going to be using this template. I'm just going to be using it here, but you want to try and put it like in there, or make it smaller, as you can see, and then put it in there or whatever. But for this video, I'm just going to do it here without the template here. But if you are doing a banner, just squeeze it in that little spot. So the first thing that I like to do to all my work first is add some sort of color correction, I guess you guys can call it. So now that we have our image, I'm gonna go to up here in the adjustments. I'm gonna add some brightness and contrast. So it depends what image you have. I just adjust it till it looks good. So I'll add a bit of brightness, a bit of contrast. That'll bring out the colors a little bit and make it darker. Next up, I do curves. So you can go in each individual color and lower, but I just do RGB. So you just gotta fool around with it, see what fits you best. Add some colors. Then we can add, this is a cool effect I like to add, click on black and white, and then change the blend mode to overlay, and then that will kind of make it a little darker, and they can lower the opacity on that to like 20. So as you can see, just adds everything that I add is very little, but it adds a lot of cool effects to it. And gradient maps, you might do this later, but if you want, you guys can also use a color correction pack. So if you go on YouTube and search up color corrections, you can find these custom made color corrections that might suit the image better than what you can do. So for instance, that one looks pretty nice for this specific image, but me personally, I like doing it myself. So add the correct colors. And for instance, if you go into curves and you go to blue, then you can mess around with the blues to make the blues more blue, or, you know, bring out the reds or whatever you have. And obviously Command Z to undo. So let's add our text. This is the Alpine Ace skin, so I'm going to do Alpine, and then on this side I'm gonna have Ace, but let's make the Alpine first. So let's make it bigger, put it right there, looks pretty good. And then you guys want to find a font. So finding a font is probably the hardest thing to do, because you got to find a font that looks good. So yeah, that's kind of like the hardest thing in my opinion in doing graphics, is finding like a good font, because a font really shows kind of the aggressiveness of the image. But like if you have a font like this, which is very thin, it's not really bold or anything, and then you have something like that, which is very, you know, kind of that aggressive look to it, it can really change the image a lot. So I kind of like this image because this is kind of an italic, which looks pretty good in my opinion. But we're gonna put this right here, position it right there. I kind of like this font a lot, actually. It looks pretty good. And then I'm gonna add spaces in between each letter just to space it out a bit more, and I just think it looks a lot better when you space it out. And then the first thing we're gonna do is, if you double click on the layer, we can add layer styles and effects. So I'm gonna add a gradient overlay. So I have a gradient overlay pack, which has a bunch of gradients, but it's basically a gradient that's on top of the text, and this looks pretty good if you have the right gradient. So you guys can make one down here. It's not that hard to make one. You can just add different colors to make the gradient, but I have the gradient pack, so I'm gonna choose something from here. I like this one, which I think this one is actually default in Photoshop. It's the one right here. So you can raise the opacity. I really like the way that looks. Lower the opacity to 50. Looks good. And then over here, it also has the like layer, so you don't have to look over here, because I always look over here because sometimes it looks better over here. I don't think we need a glow. I don't really generally don't use glows, so because I just think glows look kind of yeah, I just don't use glows because sometimes it doesn't look good on the image. So in this case, it could look good, like that looks pretty cool. And then change, I'm just fooling around here trying to see obviously what looks best. I like the way that looks right there, right there. Lower this opacity, but for some images the glow doesn't look that good, but I think for this image I'm liking the way it looks. You could add a glow, or you could add like a stroke. Stroke is kind of the same thing. As you can see, it's kind of the same thing, but a glow just, I like the way glow looks better. So for this one, the glow works, so I'm gonna glow. Spread is at 100, so you can make it more, I like the way it looks at 100. And then noise 0, maybe a little bit of noise actually, 25 maybe. And you guys can just, I'm not telling you guys to copy my exact settings. You guys should do what you guys feel most comfortable with and what looks good to you. I'm just showing you guys the techniques that I use, so you guys can use this in your own work. So the size of it, I have this at 25, and I think 25 looks the best. But again, for yours, a higher glow or a lower glow might look better on yours. Opacity 50, and you can fool around with this, the overlay, and then raise the opacity. I really like overlay for some effects because it kind of overlays the image in the back. So you could do soft light. I think I'm gonna do overlay for this one, then lower this just a tad. And again, you can add your own pretty cool style for this gradient. So I think so far it's looking pretty good. Inner glow too, but I'm not gonna do an inner glow. But again, you could do a inner glow, but I'm not gonna do that. And then when you're done with all your effects, press OK. Alright guys, so after fooling around with the effects, I got it to the way I wanted it to look. It looks more aggressive than this one. So here are the effects. So we have a inner glow, another gradient which I made higher opacity, and then the drop shadow which I added. So in general, it looks pretty good. So I'm gonna copy this layer style, put it on the ace, and it looks pretty good so far. So the next thing that we're gonna do is I'm actually gonna create a folder to group the text so it doesn't get confused with anything else. Put this in here. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put it behind the Alpine ace. So instead of having it in front, we're gonna put it behind. That's why I put it a bit over so we can put it behind. So I would select both of them, duplicate them. So this will be our backup in case anything goes wrong with this. We have a backup. So once you have the backup, you're gonna right click, rasterize it, so it's not a text layer anymore. So once you do this, you cannot edit what it says. That's why we created a backup. So we're gonna zoom in on this E right here, and then you could add we're gonna actually do a mask. So press the mask tool down here, and then get your brush tool, and we're gonna use a hard brush, not a soft one, a hard one. And then, if you have the color black, it will erase it. And if you have the color white, it will fill it in. And X on your keyboard will switch the color, and then D will reset it. So if you have pink or something, or gray, and press D, will reset it to white. So again, black erases, and this brings it back. So I'm gonna zoom in, I'm gonna lower the opacity so we can see what's behind it. And you could also not do a mask and then just erase it, but I like doing this better in case I make a mistake. It's easy to fix. So brackets on your keyboard will make the size bigger or smaller of the brush. Black, let's go in and erase this and go a little bit closer, just get this detail. And hold down the space bar and drag, so you can drag down. A bit smaller once again. And drag down to here. So I think that looks pretty good. And then when you zoom out, actually I missed a spot there. Just realized that. 'Cause here is kind of, and then you can switch back to that white to kind of fill that in. And then if it's like that, where it's kind of, you're not really sure if you want to go anymore, get a soft brush just to kind of like that. And it looks pretty good. And then you can raise the opacity back up. There you go. I think that looks pretty good. It kind of looks like it's behind. Here, this is where the soft brush comes in handy. There you go. It's not that hard. Again here. There we go. So just get it to where it looks good, and then there looks a bit fishy to me. Let me see if I can kind of fix that in there. There we go. I think that was bothering me before, but it looks better now. So we're gonna do the same thing to the other text. So now we have all of our tech stuff in this folder. We're going to add another effect to this. It is rasterized. So now what we're going to do is take the polygonal lasso tool and then drag, let's see, make a line like that, and then come back, make it really thin, and then press that, and then press the delete key. I think we have to rasterize it first. Yeah, rasterize layer style. And then now we can make this little line here. So that oh, again, wrong text. Come back and then delete, and then that will create a cool line in there. So it kind of cuts it, chops it up, whatever you want to call it. You can add this anywhere, add this here. Obviously, the bigger it is, the bigger the hole. And then what you guys can do is, since we're kind of, it looks like we're being shot at, we're fighting someone, you can add some bullet holes in here. So let's add thing there, little line in there. Take the eraser tool, kind of you can try and I'm thinking I'm gonna use a hard brush for this one. Yeah, the hard brush. And then this might look good if you just, not the brush tool, this tool. Yeah, like that. Add these little holes, kind of will look like getting shot at almost. Again, little things like this will just add that extra effect to it. And again, to the ace, add in more on this side. So kind of looks like you're getting shot at. So that looks pretty cool. And then now what we're gonna do is, I kind of want to add like a shininess to it and some particles. So go on your browser. You can use a Photoshop pack, which I have Photoshop packs, but we're just gonna get the stuff off of your browser for people who don't have packs. So look up overlay particles. So these are particles that are overlay, put on top. So I like these. I've seen these before. This is good. So you can just drag it like that, and then let's grab sparks. We're gonna do something with these sparks actually. It's gonna look pretty cool. So once you guys got your stuff from online, hide all this. So we have our particles that we got. So let's put this on top of everything basically, and then resize it. Overlay, you already know. Overlay, or I think it's not overlay. I think you have to do screen. Yes, screen. Put it on screen, and then you can lower the opacity so the particles aren't so intense. So like that, little particles. It looks pretty cool. Next thing I have is this little light effect. Change the hue to be a bit more red. See, right around like there, and then that looks pretty cool. And then let me see how this actually turns out if we copy it and then put it on there. Aha, does work. So now if we, there we go. So you guys can see, now we have that cool effect there. And now we have, actually would look good on top. Yeah, looks good on top. I got this thing online. So if you search up you know, different types of effects, you can find them. This I'm not so crazy about, so I'm just gonna get rid of that. And this, if you guys look up a flare, I think it's called a flare, something like that. This is kind of the effect I was going for. Put that there, right? And then you actually, yeah, lower this. So that kind of adds that coolness up to it. still trying to find these sparks to put on the gun, because that'll add cool effect. Sparks overlay, maybe that might help. Or actually, let's look up smoke overlay so we can find something like this. Let's take this. Well, if it was HD. This looks pretty good. Take that on there, and then we still need our sparks. Let's see. I think this looks good enough. So put that there. And so we'll start off with the smoke first. So I'm gonna put the smoke like right here on the gun. That'll look pretty good, I think. Blend effect to screen. That'll make the black background disappear. Put it like right there, and then it should be rasterized. So we're gonna go to edit, transform, warp, so we can kind of warp it around. So make it look like it's coming out of there. There we go. Looks pretty good. Then the next thing we're gonna add is the sparks. Again, screen for that, and placed it pretty perfectly. Let me just see if there's any other spot. Yeah, a bit more, like right there looks pretty good. And we could rotate it like that. There we go. Rotate it like that. So it looks like there's sparks coming out. We have the smoke, which looks pretty awesome. And then do another warp. You can see we can kind of warp it around a bit there. And then if you guys wanted, Control J again to duplicate, and then you can put some over here, make it look more intense. That kind of looks like bullets actually coming out, but the bullets are coming out right there. Think it looks pretty cool. And for things in the background, I like to lower the opacity to make it look further away just a little bit. So the next thing we're gonna do is you guys want to select the bottom of the bottom layer, and then go all the way up to the top layer, which is right here. Control J to duplicate it, and then Command E, which this will merge everything into one little thing. So this is like the whole thing in one layer. And then we're gonna go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and then I think I'm gonna raise this to about 8.2, 9.1, and then we're gonna click the eraser tool, make it bigger, soft brush, and then maybe lower the opacity just a tad, and then just click and erase. And I like this effect a lot because you can blur things out and make things look kind of that blurred look, and I like the way this looks a lot. And then the last thing we're gonna do is add a filter, lens correction, and then go to custom, and then we can add a vignette. So that's the VIN point, and then that'll add a vignette, which will make the edges darker to kind of focus the eye more in on the center. And let me erase parts of the gun because we worked on that, so we obviously want to make that brighter. And more around here, and then a lot on the text. So I think we're done with this image. This banner, you can use this as a banner, whatever you want. It's obviously not the most advanced tutorial in the world, but this is kind of for the beginners trying to get into graphics. If you're new to my channel, subscribe. Make sure to follow my Instagram, my SoundCloud, and my Twitter. I hope to be posting videos once a week. If your channel has over 5,000 subscribers, I will be doing free graphics. If not, and if you guys want one, you can head over to my website. The graphics are pretty cheap there, only like $1 or $2, and you can get yourself like a banner, a profile picture. All links for that will be in the description. Haven't been on YouTube in a long time, so I decided that I want to do graphic design and things like that. If you don't know me, I've been here for a long time doing gaming tutorials, unboxing reviews, tons of stuff, but now we're gonna be doing graphics. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, subscribe for more content, and subscribe if you are new. Leave a comment down below for what you want me to do next, and if you have any questions or anything like that, I will always respond to anyone. So hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. See you in the next video, guys. Bye bye.